Welcome to the Lean Construction with Owners. The Lean Construction with Owners in Lean Construction blog is a series that features Lean practitioners working as owner or owner representative. In this series, Amir Zavici interviews Lean leaders to share lesson learned. This series highlights how owners are currently applying Lean construction methodologies in their projects and how they are progressing on their Lean journey.
This is the Lean Construction with Owners in Lean Construction blog is a series that features Lean practitioner working as owner or as owner representative. In this series, I, Amir Zavici, interview with Lean leaders and share lesson learned. This series highlight how owners are currently applying Lean in their project and how they are progressing on their Lean journey. The goal of this series is to initiate conversation that lead to insight, perspective, and clarity, and eventually lead to solutions. We want to share stories about how people are learning and how they are improving their everyday practice. With that being said, welcome to the first episode of the Lean with Owner series. With no further ado, I'm meeting with Dr. Tariq Abdelhamid, Associate Professor at Michigan State University. Let's dive into the conversation. First of all, thanks for accepting our invitation. You're one of the Lean leaders that have been trained by, I guess, the Lean founder, Greg Howell and Glenn Ballard, and have led and trained numerous students yourself. I'm following your work for a long time now, and MSU was one of actually a few schools back in the time, 2009, 2010, that the Lean was taught in and I actually applied for. I would love to get to know more about you and your fantastic journey today. With that being said, Dr. Tariq, could you please introduce yourself, share a little bit of your professional journey?
Thank you, Dr. Amir. This is really a great opportunity for me to have this discussion with you, and I'm really was looking forward to it when you sent me the questions and just the topic itself and what you're trying to do and sharing with everyone. When I came to Michigan State in 2000, and at that time I had left Ford Motor Company. I was working at Ford Motor Company while going to school, and I learned about Lean manufacturing and Lean production at Ford Motor Company. That was my exposure there. And it really and that knowledge has and exposure has been something really that has shaped a lot of what I've done afterwards. And I met Glenn Ballard and Greg Howell, God rest his soul. And they were basically talking to a group of faculty about how to introduce Lean construction into the curriculum, whether undergraduate or graduate. And I was there, I had the privilege of being there, and I listened to part of the introduction and a little bit of the workshop, and I shared that I'm not sure that this is going to work in construction, because in construction the customer is hard to really pinpoint. We have a lot of customers, and the other thing, it was really to me, it was the construction industry is very fragmented, and at Ford Motor Company, it's a sister industry to Toyota, and there was a lot of difficulty in still absorbing and really taking the true essence of lean and implementing because of culture issues. And Greg told me we're not trying to take Toyota or lean and put it or graft it onto construction. We are looking for principles that can guide production in construction, and therefore they will guide the projects in construction. And I was just sold by that. I was really intrigued by that because principle-based practice is really something that is very critical. If you have principles without practice are useless. And practice without principles is directionless. So in many ways, my experiences have been to that point is no two projects are the same, which is true because of the difference in location and just design and everything. But at some level, there is some similarities. I mean, you can always find some similarities. And it was always ad hoc, impromptu. You know, there's always something that seems to be just you have to invent everything every time and do go through the same mistakes. And so I really was attracted to really the idea, and I got really into the area, the discipline since. And they took me under their wing, as you said, and I mean we lots of activities from there on, the Lean Construction Institute Academic Forum, and then the Lean Construction Journal. You know, I just continued to kind of work with them, work with the larger community of Lean Construction, the International Group for Lean Construction, and so on. So I was fortunate to meet a lot of people to learn from. So that really is my background in terms of kind of how it got into specifically Lean construction. But
Absolutely. So, Dr. Tariq, you mentioned that you had a background, like you came from manufacturing background as well. You work at the Ford, the sister company of the Toyota, which I guess it's amazing. I guess I encourage everyone to at least get a tour of the manufacturing system, how everything is
yes,
built up. That's really cool. And you came, but you're a civil engineer, right? You have,
yes,
oh,
yes,
perfect. Okay, so
yes,
you saw
yeah,
the best in both worlds. And
yeah.
then just for the sake of the history, where did you meet like Glenn and Greg back in the time? Or how did it happen? That's just
Yeah,
interesting to me.
they had really sent out a notice about this workshop that they're going to have a one day workshop um, to discuss the introducing lean construction into uh, a class, into an entire program,
Mm,
and specifically the call was for academics, and it was in Tempe, Arizona. That's where they held the first one. And then 4 months later, a smaller group from that first time went also this one was January 2021. And then in April 21, again, another group came to Tempe, Arizona. We kind of worked on different things and kind of re-emphasized, reinforced things, you know, that second one, Iris was there, Iris Tunneline, Raphael Sachs, Ken Walsh, and Howard Bashford, I mean, different kind of folks. And it was kind of really we called it the first academic forum. So it kind of that's where I think the forum was kind of created, the idea for it.
And this was just a few years after the LCI was founded, which was 1997, I guess.
Yes.
So
Yes.
very early days, and you brought
Yes.
up a very few amazing name, Iris, Rafal, and Ken Walsh, absolutely. And I know you have been involved with LCI Academic Forum. So before that, is it safe to say that lean construction in general started from like a research project, like people just observed how the construction was done and probably was not super happy about that and thought, okay, what can we do? And they probably start like a research project. I guess that was the foundation of the LCI to with academic to see how we can do it better. And this amazing group get together. And right now we are like 20 years after that, and we are enjoying that journey. Is that safe to say that? Like it?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think your description is close in very much how it happened. I think it, of course, if you take it back a little bit, maybe to '93, where the first IGLC had happened, '93, where the first ideas were there, where before LCI was created. It was the story, at least as I have experienced it, have heard it, and from the IGLC standpoint, Louis Alarcon, Lauri Kostela, and Carlos Formoso. I mean, those were kind of I think in the first IGLC, and the in '93. So it was Glenn, Louis Alarcon, and Lowry. So I think that those three, and probably Carlos. So so that group. So what had happened then is it was really two paths. One path was Lowry was really interested in understanding at a conceptual and theoretical level, basically principle level, why is the time cost quality triangle always messed up? So why can't you finish on time? Why can't you finish with within budget and the quality that is required? So he began to investigate and think about construction, how we view it as a paradigm. So he said we're very focused on it as an input output really model, where inputs go into this process and the output comes out as a finished building or finished structure, because you work in the port authority, so you have a much bigger building, kind of. So it's a complicated structure you work in. So, but essentially that was his thought. So he began to look at, so what happens in the box? What happens in this process? So he said there's also flow of information and flow of materials. So where can that be understood better? So he began to look at, mass production, craft production, lean, and really, I think he made a contribution by thinking about value in a different way than it is thought about in lean manufacturing or in general. That it's a value generation process. And that was, I think, kind of a little bit different than how it's looked at in the manufacturing side. It is still a value creation, but you create value almost by removing anything that the customer doesn't want to pay for. But in construction, it's really more about can your contractors, Dr. Amir, that build anything for you like an extension or something like that, can they give you more program for the same money? So can they give you more square footage that you can do something with for ships or part of the port that you really actually didn't need? Like in a hospital, can you have more rooms? Can you use more square footage in the room for actually caring for the patient? So that's the value generation. It's a little bit different than in the manufacturing world. So that was that path, and he challenged both practitioners and academics to use these kind of foundations and develop them, because the again, theory or principles without practice are really useless. So where is the practice? So you have to have practice, and again, as we said, practice without theory or practice without principles is directionless. So that kind of process began, but at the same time, Glenn and Greg were onto something as well, where they were really starting from the very other side of construction, which is really the production floor. So in essence, their finding was that the reliability of the production planning from week to week is as good as a coin toss. So it's about 50%. So they did this, on lots of projects, but their experience also was that, it's just, you cannot, Greg used to say, construction sites are commitment-free zones. So you just cannot rely on someone telling you they're going to be done with something this week so that you can plan next week. At the end of the project, or close to the milestone, when the owner comes to check, or when there's an important milestone, things get done by hook or by crook. Things are going to get done, but it's overtime. It's putting more people on it, so something suffers. So that discovery made them focus on really improving the reliability of production planning, and the last planner system was born. So it really came from that really end of it, and it began really to, like you said, 25 years now, or more, almost 30 years, being tweaked and what it's been subjected to is the scientific process of repeating it over time and seeing where it works, where it doesn't work. So that's really that's the story.
That was like a really great history for myself to learn. And you mentioned, Dr. Tariq, a few things like the messing up with the time, cost, and quality is still a valid question right
Yes.
now.
Yes.
And we still think like construction in general is like a product. As you mentioned, we we sign a contract with the contractor or subcontractor or trade partner, and we expect them to do exactly what we expect without knowing, and we take it as a granted. It's like we give you the money, we expect this product, and this never happens. It's like a black box. We really need to look into that to be able to help the process, to first of all understand it, and then do the research, do the observation to understand how, as you mentioned, the value is generated. And that is still a valid question after 30 years looking into that. And that's amazing. Thanks for bringing that up. So with that being said, now I want to talk a little bit about the elephant in the room, which is lean construction, right? Why lean at all? Like, what makes lean philosophy methodology essential for or beneficial in today's construction industry? We are building for the last, I don't know, 1,000 years, right? So
Yes.
why do we need to look into a new methodology or philosophy, in your opinion?
Yeah. And like you said, uh, providing shelter for ourselves as a species has been going on for a long time. And the the crux of the problem in construction, if we just focus on our industry, is work waiting for workers or workers waiting for work. And you can also say designers waiting for work or work waiting for designers if you're talking about kind of a design kind of environment. And if you solve this problem for the construction site environment, workers are not waiting for work and work is not waiting for workers, then you've really achieved, it doesn't have to be lean, it doesn't have to be anything, it's just achieve that and you're good. So the connection of that whole supply chain together from design to building, the now the master builder concept is no longer because there is specialization. So now it's more fragmented and specialized. People are handing over things. So you get like you said, the intent is lost, and you keep learning again and again what are we exactly building. So the process became it's really its own enemy. So lean in and of itself, the term, of course, is what Dr. Womack from MIT and the group that was with him when they studied Toyota from 85 to 1990. John Krafich was one of his students, I believe, at that time. He came up with the term. But as you know, Toyota doesn't call it lean. They just a Toyota production system. So the essence of the Toyota production system or lean is solving problems using the scientific method. And the scientific method is not about physics. Scientific method is observe, make a an assumption or a hypothesis, test it, and decide what you're going to do. So it's basically perfecting that as a to scale is the challenge. And but still, like you said, why? The paradigm we've been using is not working. I mean, so the way we have been owners have been procuring construction, designers and contractors have been providing construction, has not been working. Everyone in the construction industry will say it's broken in some way. So when that is the consensus, almost, then it means that something different needs to be embraced or tried. It's ripe conditions for something new to be really attempted. And I'll share with you a story that's interesting. In medicine, stomach ulcers have for a long time been attributed to acid in the stomach. And the phrase was no acid, no ulcer. So doctors were treating it by trying to come up with things that would prevent the creation of acid, so that you kind of suppress making of acid in the stomach. So you try to treat other things, glands and things, and so of course, there were surgical procedures too, and that was, like us, time, quality, and cost were still are messed up. People were still not getting better. I mean, the rate of success of these treatments were not good. So two doctors in New Zealand, I believe, or Australia, they had a thought that, and they tested it, that it's the pylori bacteria that causes the ulcer. And they tried to publish their paper, and it was not accepted, because they said, "What is this, rubbish? I mean, ulcers are caused by acid." So they gave themselves the bacteria, and they had ulcers, and they did it on themselves, and then their paper was published. And since their paper was published for about 20 years, until the medical community began to accept that, yes, it's the pylori bacteria, and less so the acid paradigm. And even the CDC has kind of embraced that, the US CDC. So when you have these points in time where the existing paradigm is just not working, it's foolish to keep doing it. Because you're just not going to get something different. So the time is ripe to try something different. So it just may have been, the right time for how Dr. Koskela was thinking, and Dr. Ballard was thinking with Professor Howell. They looked at it from, their bacteria was the last planar system, and the different way to consider the construction as a production system.
Absolutely. So in general, what you mentioned was that, okay, although we have been building infrastructure, building for a long time, if you look at the statistic, right? So for example, safety, we have 1,000 deaths per year in US. Yeah. If you look at those three pillar of the construction, cost, time, and quality, if you look at it in any project, there is a statistic that says 95% of the project, one of these goals hasn't been met. And obviously, there is always like an excuse or justification. For example, material delivery, right? This contractor didn't do what he was supposed to do, right? But thinking about these variation is in the nature of the construction, and looking at those with different lenses give us the opportunity to at least think about that, observe that, and maybe find a solution, which you mentioned, for example, last planner system, instead of like the traditional scheduling, which you built up a huge schedule on day one with 1,000 activity, come and talk about, and then you enforce that, hopefully to make sure you get to a project to the end line. But the last planner system on the other side talks about the commitment, what people can do, and how we can adjust those rates to get to the final line. Absolutely, no. That's, I guess it's a reason that I'm fascinated by lean in general. For construction, I believe, Dr. Tariq, we lag and we didn't have like a philosophy behind construction industry in general that talk about different things and what has been gone wrong and how we can do it right. At least to bring those philosophy into the practice, talk about those, and hopefully sometime in future, I think that will be like a normal things. It's we wouldn't call that lean anymore. It's just a normal practice, right? A schedule CPM doesn't work. What can how can we make it work? Absolutely. No, I love that. And this is like a challenge for every one of us in construction. Just look at that your own project. If it is done in time, within the budget, with the expected quality, and everyone is happy without being you guys overwhelmed as being part of the party in construction. So everything is good. Please bring it out. Teach us how you have done that, and we learn from that. But most probably, the any project that you pinpoint in construction, there is a problem. People are overwhelmed with different variation in construction that you're trying to solve. So thank you for that. So that was actually a sidebar to my next question. Now let's talk about we talked about the construction industry. Now let's talk about the public, the owner side. What's their role, and what are the benefit they can get, and what are the challenges from the owner or owner representative side in applying lean? That is the main topic for today.
Yes. Yeah, and which is a great segue, and part of your really summary of what we were just discussing, about the different tools and the methods, and how to apply them. It's again, if you tie these two together, the principle and the practice, that's very important. So principle-based practice, and some tools are designed for something, and we use them beyond what it's designed for. So you cannot measure the depth of the ocean. You have the Pacific Ocean. If you go out a little bit, farther out, maybe 50 miles in to from where you are in Los Angeles, you cannot measure the depth of the ocean at that point with a yardstick. You have to use a different tool, because if you use it with a yardstick, you can measure it. It's going to take you a long time. So you're using that tool beyond its ambit. So beyond it's really what it was designed for. So we do that with CPM, with, think about, other things we have. So we've been using them beyond what they have been developed for. They're developed for something very specific. And that's part of what Glenn and Greg were saying. You cannot use CPM as a contractual tool. And that's was kind of, those are revelations and things like that. So as an owner, our story began. So I'll share how kind of our story at Michigan State University began with embracing lean and lean integrated project delivery or lean project delivery. In 2006, the vice president for finance and operations, he basically is the procurer of, is the person that procures construction on campus. He both finances them and then operates them. He basically told me, Tariq, is there another way that we can procure construction so that I don't have to go in front of the board of trustees and ask for an increase in the budget more than 10%, which is in my purview, and look really like a fool because I keep doing that every maybe 2 or 3 months. And at the beginning of when they approved the project, we told them this is the budget. And so I'm tired of looking like a fool. And I just wonder, I mean, and his specialty was not in construction. He was a professor, but had this administrator role. So I said, this is a valid question, and yes, we do have other ways, and we call it lean integrated project delivery, or lean project delivery, and we began to talk about it, and there was his willingness to embrace it, and the willingness of other colleagues. Jack Muma, the construction administrator, who basically is responsible for the contracts themselves, he was on board. Other colleagues, on campus. Amar Abdelazim, Dan Bowman, Lisa Williams-Wedberg, multiple people who were really interested in doing this. And also, on a campus, you have an owner in the sense of someone who is really going to be that client who's going to be using the facility. And you have a construction group, a design and construction group that oversees the design and construction process. So there's a lot of people involved in this. So we decided to try in 2009 a lean IPD project. And it was on a $16 million project. So Jack Muma, the construction administrator, was saying, let's use a project large enough to learn from, but also small enough that if we mess up, we don't get fired. So that was really a lot was learned because our contracting community was also in need of learning because they were not familiar with it's not just a contract, it's also how to facilitate what's in the contract in terms of coming together in a big room. What does it mean to have open book accounting? What does it mean to actually work together on target costing during design? What does it mean to try to think about the construction process during design? The construction informs the design. It's not an output from the design. So a lot of these things were very, very different for them. So the mechanical contractor was a part of the. We usually don't bring them. The construction management company. Usually, we do construction management at risk, uh, and they come at 50% design development. That's typical for our projects. In this case, they came at the beginning of schematic design, and maybe towards the end of schematic design, we brought the mechanical, electrical, HVAC contractor, and kitchen equipment installer, because this was a dining hall renovation. And this was very early for them. They're not used to coming on projects this early. And the mechanical contractor said, no, I've done design assist before. I know this. So in the big room meetings, they were silent, the contractors. And after a couple of meetings of this happening, my colleagues from MSU came and told me, if they remain silent like this and we're paying them hourly, we don't want this anymore. Let's switch back to construction management, and this is going to run up the project's budget. They're not doing anything. They're just sitting there and getting money paid. It's hourly cost. And I said, they are not sure what you want from them. So let's talk to them. So talking to the mechanical contractor, I said, why are you not getting involved? And he said, I'm waiting for the design to GMP it for you. I said, no, you want to talk to the mechanical consultant and say, to make the target cost that we are talking about, instead of running north-south, we have to run the pipes or the ducts east-west. He said, I can do that? I said, yes, that's why we want you here. So everything changed, Dr. Amir. Everything changed. And the dynamic was really just wonderful to see, because now the construction really folks realize they are an input to design. They're not an output from design. And really that kind of realization changed things, even though they knew that they were, their profit is at risk and everything. But the change in behavior, you have to really work with the group to really show them what is expected, because they're not used to this.
And just giving them the chance. You mentioned a very good example, like that trade partner was sitting there because he or she wasn't used to speak up and tell his or her mind. Just giving chance to these people to give their input, their specialty input to the construction. And you brought up another really good point that it put me in thinking, like construction, like expertise as an input to design. Like, and in your project, it started from one wise man just to ask the question, can we do it differently?
Yes.
And that's, I guess, the $1 million question. Let's think about it. Can we do it differently? Like, um and in like traditional delivery method, right? And in most of the construction project, you set a budget here, and then you start design from scratch. You don't know where you are going. You are designing based on an expectation that doesn't have anything to do with your budget. And then you're going above the budget. And again, you look you look bad going in front of the board and ask for more money. So you brought up like a target value design point. Rather than estimating based on a detailed design, design based on your detailed estimate. Just
Exactly.
that different mindset make a difference in construction project. Or rather than, for example, we do constructability review, and uh, at some point I was really into this constructability review because it is really fragmented. You don't know where to start the constructability review. And now I'm thinking about, you are evaluating a constructability review of the design, right? You shouldn't have had a design that is not constructible at all. You
From
should
the
have
beginning.
get those input
Yeah.
early on to design something that is constructible. And our mindset in general, like an engineering mindset, is that I do the design, I throw it over the wall. Hopefully somebody else will build it right for me. And all these conflict come up into this process. And I'm really glad that we are looking into those process, because we have taken that as granted that, okay, this is my expectation. I get what I expected with these like criteria. That is not the case. We need to set up with that production system that an input become an output with the set production system, that you know what you need to expect. Appreciate that. That was like a learning class for myself.
Oh, you're
That
very
was
kind.
amazing. But Dr. Tariq, on
Yes.
this topic, I know you have been involved and you are actually one of the steering committee of LIPS, Lean in Public Sector.
In the
Can you
public sector.
elaborate a little bit just for us to know what is this organization about? What's the goal?
Yes.
Yeah.
So lean in the public sector began as you can say, a special interest group within the Lean Construction Institute when Greg and Glenn were basically at the helm. In roughly maybe 2006, 2007, Glenn had the idea that we have the integrated form of agreement. So we have a solution for kind of how to introduce the lean project delivery system or lean project delivery, and how can the public owners benefit from this. Yes, there are. I mean, Sutter Health was a nonprofit, but they're private owned. They're not a public technically. So in essence, the idea was to look at what are the barriers or challenges for the public owners from implementing lean project delivery, and uh, and it may be hybrids of the integrated form of agreement or the consensus docs or even the AIA 201 or 195. So the contract itself. So Glenn, asking Greg to help him, began to make call outs to Germany, to Brazil, to Australia, to Iran, to actually, wherever, Malaysia, to wherever they can, they no contacts, and ask them, are you doing anything in the public sector that where you're using the last planner system, where you're using some lean thoughts that the owner is signed up to, or even if it's design build, or but it has a more of a spirit of lean. You mentioned constructability, and constructability reviews are you're reviewing, you're reacting to the design. So however, it also has issues, and I'll share with you how the contractors and the designers were reacting to it on the job we were just discussing at NSU. So I mean that was the idea behind the lean in the public sector. Basically, it wasn't an organization, Dr. Amin. It was just really a kind of a group that the call went out to, and they came maybe uh, 6 speakers over 2 days or 7 speakers over 2 days, and they shared, their project, how, they worked with the owner, how the contractors and the designers were working together, and with or without a lean integrated or an integrated project delivery contract, but more of incentivized to work together. And it continued kind of that format. And there was a point where Glenn was interested to hand off to someone to keep it going and to create more structure around it. And that was basically Amr Abdelazim from Michigan State University. And so he's the chair, and I'm the treasurer, and I can tell you it's very easy. We don't have any money, and so it's a very easy job. So if you'd like, you can take that job. The model is not based on fees or membership, or it's you're aware of the IJLC model, right? Kind of the conference, yeah.
Elaborate
conference.
a little bit.
Yeah.
I guess this is really good for us to know,
Yeah.
Tariq. You know
Yeah.
definitely better than me.
So for the lean in the public sector, the basic idea is a annual gathering, annual conference. You bring speakers, and some of them pay for themselves. Some of them you pay for their travel and lodging and meals, and you charge something for the gathering or the conference. And the organizer of the conference basically is the one who takes the risk. So, it was this last one that we did was in Chile. Dr. Alarcon did it, Louis Alarcon. And basically, he takes the risk of he has to bring people from Chile to make them interested from the public, port authorities, municipalities, government people, and also we work with together as a steering committee about the speakers and all of that. So that's the model. We don't have other revenue sources, at least now. That's the model. So which is very similar to the IJLC. IJLC works in the same manner. It's a conference, and the organizer really takes the risk.
Awesome. Okay. So an IGLC is more just in general to
More
differentiate.
academic.
More academic, exactly. LCI probably more practitioner and
Yes.
contractor are involved. And we
Yes.
have LEAPS for public sector, which makes sense. I guess it's really good to start from the public sector. They distribute the money. They can enforce lots of contractual terms, and it's really helpful if you have a strong public sector that wants to enforce, not to enforce, but to encourage people using lean. But totally, and thank you giving us a gist of that. But as you know, like at least 50% of the contract or delivery method are still traditional, right? design, bid, build, and you mentioned a couple more delivery method like CM at risk, lean,
agency. Yeah.
IPD, and so on, and design build, progressive design build, and so on. But my question is that for somebody from public sector like myself, who the delivery method is design bid build, do you still see that lean practice is we can benefit from those, and is it applicable to all delivery methods, or you need to transition to lean delivery method before you want to do anything? Any thought about that in general?
Yeah, yes, be, and because we faced the same thing when we were beginning to embrace it, and we had to convince the board and other also parties in the university to accept signing a multi-party contract, which is what a multi-party relational contract, uh, integrated form of agreement, consensus docs, integrated project delivery contract. You know, they're all the same. And the idea is that that allows you, that removes the barriers of money moving across boundaries. It creates the incentive for the team to work together in a way that is collaborative, in a way that they're working towards a same goal, and it's like a marriage contract. So that's, but it doesn't mean that every marriage works out, right? So so that's a part. How there are other projects where the client doesn't want, at MSU doesn't want to do this, doesn't want the multi-party contract. So we have the, like you said, all the others. We have also design bid build. So you know, Dr. Amir, when you sign up for a software that does calendaring, or software that does, you know, uh, taxes for you, they always have these, you know, free entry, and then they say, if you want this, you can get the premium, or, you know, the enterprise version. So, you know, there's levels. So it's the same with lean. And so the first level really is what Greg used to call impeccable coordination. So it's the last runner system. It's really, if even if in a design bid build, we have in our specifications, we introduced the last runner system. And the idea is to really, I mean, who is going to say no to having a reliably flowing work site from week to week? That's and it helps the contractors, because now they know they can reduce price, because they are they trust the schedule. They trust that they, when they show up, there's going to be work. So it reduces kind of their when once they start to the behavior is, once they start to realize that there is something different about the way this general contractor works, they reduce the prices, because they don't have to factor in contingencies for having to remove workers from this site, you know, going to another site, because, you know, they don't, there's congestion on the site, or there's clashes. So impeccable coordination, really, you can as an owner, you can say, I really would like you to employ last manner system. And last manner system does not mean you're not going to use scheduling, or they don't have to still give you schedules for 3 6 months. It's okay. That's needed so that you have confidence. They have a plan to do the project in these time frames, but the last planner system is going to help in making them move from week to week together with their own plan, not the plan of the general contract. The next level is, that you go into is the level of really production system design. This is thinking about construction during design, which is really in the construction CM at risk, CM agency, design build. You can introduce that thinking about, I want you to think about what's going to happen during construction. No constructability, but more try to inform the design. You can start to put some of these things in place so that you can have some of that mentality of production system design. And the third level is basically the level of what's called commercial enterprise, which is the lean project delivery, which now you're able to have money moves across boundaries. By that I mean the target for the mechanical contractor, for example, is $3 million. They're exceeding it because of the way they're designing. They're at 3,200,000. They go to the electrical group and they say, we're short $200,000. Can we take it from you guys? And they'll say, oh yeah, we've got $400,000. We're less than our target. Hey, take 200,000. That's not going to happen on a regular project, because they're still they're working within that. So that's what the integrated project delivery or the multi-party contract is going to allow you to do, is have that money moving across boundaries. It's really about making sure the project is what is important, not individual really gain.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
Dr. Tariq, you mentioned that yes, we can apply lean methodology to different delivery methods, even the traditional one, but obviously there is a limit to that. You
Yes.
benefit, at least I guess, with simple practices. You can make your project more efficient 10 to 15%. But if you want to go all the way, obviously you need to adopt a lean methodology. And you brought up like a few examples, like last planner system. Last planner, just to digest it a little bit, just it's like, and correct me if I'm wrong, like to plan your work ahead for a few weeks to make sure that you know what needs to be done. And if there are any problem with your plan, the constraint, remove it as early as possible. Don't let, for example, if you want to, I don't know, build a wall, obviously you need to have the material. If the material is not here, let's say a week before or 2 days before you start that activity, don't plan about that. Don't bring it into your weekly plan because it's not ready to go there yet. So looking more closely at what you want to do. What's your, for example, delivery schedule, right? You want to build a wall, you need a delivery schedule to make sure that those material are coming here. Or, for example, or do you need to do any inspection before the wall going up or not, the inspection board, all those information, you need to make sure it has happened. And there are methods like visual boards. You can put it up in the on the walls in your trailer to make it transparent for everyone. Because I guess in construction, because due to the nature, like it's a puzzle, it's uh the information is like overwhelming. You need to collaborate with the people. One person cannot do the job, and the information shouldn't be capped to one person. It needs to be transparent to everyone so everyone can collaborate and get it done. You brought up last planner and I guess visual management as the first level. Then the second one was, okay, if you can, go and collaborate early on. Give your
in the
input
design.
in the design. Exactly. Give your input to the designer if your delivery method lets you. Or even if it doesn't, there are methods obviously in the public. You can assign some money aside to get those input, as you mentioned, on a time and material to the people that they are using that in the design. And the third level that you mentioned was commercialized enterprise, that you're adopting the delivery method and you are going all in. And that makes very sense and appreciate that differentiation for us. So you actually kind of respond to my next question was, which was, where do as an owner, where should they get it started? But if you have any other point, let me know. Let's talk about that, and I'll dive into my last question.
Sure. I think that's you did a great job in summarizing what we just discussed. And the owner needs to also consider that they are going to be, if they're going to go with lean integrated project delivery or any really of the levels, like we said, level one, level two, level three, they have to also educate themselves and be participating at some level. At each level, it's going to be different level of participation. They also need to have developed their knowledge base in this. So that's important. And because it starts to, it's very easy to revert back to the old ways of each entity is its own, fearing that the design budget is going to exceed what it usually is. And that's normal for a lean integrated project delivery because you pay now instead of paying later. So that's those are things for the owners to be aware of, and they have to be ready as well and able to uh, go through this change themselves too. It's not just their providers.
Absolutely. And you mentioned a really good point that every penny spent in the design, probably you need to spend tenfold of that during construction
During
if you want to
construction.
change anything.
Yes.
Appreciate that. And Dr. Tariq, as a last question, this is more like for owner, students, beginner in this journey. Uh, any input? What are the references available? Things out there that they can just put their step in there and some of the trend in the industry in general. Anything that you want to add?
What we're seeing now, especially with the second level, which is production system design, of course, the move to offsite fabrication, turning the construction site into more of an assembly, and it's more so facilitated more so in lean project delivery when you get to that level. And of course, the use of technology in facilitating the design and the input of construction into design. And I think those are just I mean they of course are not new arrivals. However, there's a lot of development there that is happening that needs to be kind of one should stay as much as they can on top of it In terms of, of course, the best way to learn something is to try and teach it, as well as learning by doing. So that's, I would say, going to the Congress is a good start, and the Lean Construction blog, the Lean Construction Journal, IGLC has a wealth of knowledge, and I think, one needs to focus on what area of lean they're interested in. So is it lean design, lean supply, lean assembly, lean, what's called lean use or lean utilization, which is at the end. So it's hard to be specialized in all of them. So yeah.
Totally. And Dr. Tariq, is there any favorite book for a beginner, or a few of them that you recommend, or one book that you enjoyed a lot about lean, obviously lean construction or lean in general?
The one I really felt was quite instrumental is Toyota Kata by Mike Ruther, and because it really gives a window into beyond the techniques. It's really more about the roadmap of the problem solving roadmap. So I think that's one. And in construction, we now have started a number of books have started to show up. Dean Reed and other authors with him have a very good book on integrated project delivery. I probably don't have the right title, but it's a very good book. And Dr. Lincoln Forbes also has a good book.
Awesome. Appreciate that. And I'll look up the books, bring it on the podcast, so for everyone to use. And we went over an hour, Dr. Tariq. I really enjoyed the conversation. Really appreciate you taking the time to walk us through the lean construction as well as your personal journey. And thank you for being on this podcast. Appreciate the time, and hopefully we'll see you very soon in the construction Congress soon.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me. I enjoyed this very much.
Thank you, Dr. Tariq.
Thank you.